Hi guys, welcome back to another sewing technique tutorial video. Today we'll be looking at how to make a perfect dart. Darts help contour fabric around the shapes of our bodies to create a smooth and structured look. With the help of this video, you'll no longer have unflattering bubbles at the top of your darts and they'll be perfectly smooth. Today I'll be going through two types of darts, standard darts and contour darts. I hope you'll give this technique a try and let's get started. Darts are a small seam used to create shaping and accents around curves. You'll see them on the bust of dresses, the waist of skirts and pants, the back of shoulders and the elbows of sleeves. Darts are more commonly straight, but they can be curved and combined with gathers. Here's the pattern of a basic dart. The two lines that make up the triangle are called the dart legs. These are the stitching line of the dart and we must bring the two lines together. The end where the two lines meet is called the dart point. The other end is called the base. A dart with 2 points won't have this. When you cut out the pattern pieces of darts, don't cut out the dart lines. I've cut out this pattern piece in some fabric. The first thing we're going to do is to transfer the lines of the dart onto the fabric. My favourite method to do this is using carbon paper and a tracing wheel because it's quick and easy and the most accurate. Check out my previous video on how to transfer darts. Place the pattern piece on the right side of the fabric and pin around the outside of the piece. Grab your carbon paper. For light and bright coloured fabric, you'll need to use a darker shade of the same colour. For dark fabric, you'll use white carbon paper. The bright waxy side transfers when pressed, creating marks on your fabric. Place the bright side of the carbon paper under the fabric and it will be facing the wrong side. Take out your tracing wheel. Place the spikes on top of the dart line. When you turn over the fabric, there's a perfect line to represent the dart on the wrong side of the fabric. Take the pins out and flip the fabric over to the wrong side. I like to make a small marking at the point with a washable fabric marker or tailor's chalk. This helps me see where I need to finish sewing so I can keep the length of my darts accurate. Next we'll pin the dart. Starting at the top of the dart, I'm going to push the pin into one dart line and out through the other. The pin needs to be horizontal to the dart. Do this down the length of the dart. If the pin isn't long enough, then you can pinch the fabric. Fold the dart in half and push in the pins into the fabric. This will line up the dart line on each side. Use some more pins to pin the fabric flat. Take out the excess pins. You'll want to change the stitch length to about 2. We start sewing at the base of the dart and finish at the point. Keep sewing straight on the line until you're about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters from the point. Change your stitch length to about 1.5 and keep sewing. Lowering your stitch length at the end of the dart will help prevent puckering, which is common with slippery fabrics. At the end of the dart, use your hand wheel to make a few stitches on top of the fold. Do not backstitch. Lift the needle and the foot. Pull the fabric out of the machine and leave a long tail of thread. Now we knot the end of the dart by hand. I'm creating a loop with the 2 threads and passing one of the threads at least twice through the loop. Pull down to the base but don't pull the seam. Repeat and trim the threads. Moving on to ironing the dart, it's best to use a tailor's ham for this to help iron curves. Place the fabric wrong side up and try and find a curve on the ham that matches the fabric. Make sure that the fabric is flat against the ham. Horizontal bust darts must be ironed down towards the hem. All other darts must be ironed towards the center front or back. Start pressing from the base of the dart or where your seam starts and towards the point. This is called melding the stitches and helps create a neat seam. Don't iron past the dart point. I then like to iron around the point. If you don't have a tailor's ham, try to just use the tip of your iron. If you're using fabrics that can't take much heat, such as wool or suiting, then you'll need to use a pressing cloth. This will help prevent shiny markings appearing on your fabric when ironing. And you're all done! The final dart is smooth and we have no issues with pesky bubbles. At this point you have the option of trimming the excess fabric down and finishing the raw edge. I tend to leave the dart whole because it looks neater, but you'll need to trim the dart for thick fabrics. Now let's see some examples of darts on a dress. Today I'm using Retro Butterick 6582. On view C, the bodice has 4 closed-end darts which are typical of bodices, skirts and pants. I'm going to place the fabric on the table with the right side facing up. Pin the pattern to the right side around the 4 darts. Place the coloured side of the carbon paper under one set of the darts. Then I'm going to go ahead and transfer the darts using a tracing wheel. Remove the pins and the carbon paper. Flip the piece of fabric so that the wrong side is facing up. These darts are close together so you can only pin one at a time. I'm going to push the needle through the wrong side of the dart line. We can now fold the fabric in half at the center of the dart. I can go ahead and now pin the dart flat. Let's sew the dart. We start sewing at the base and I'm using a stitch length of around 2. I'm sewing up the dart until I reach about 1 inch from the dart point. Now I'm lowering the stitch length and sewing to the dart point. At the end I'm going to stitch close to the fold, then pull the fabric out of the machine and leave a long tail. Do not backstitch. I've sewn all the darts, so I'm going to go ahead and hand knot each of the points. Lastly, I need to iron these darts. I'm ironing each towards the center front of this bodice piece. The darts are all done, so I can go ahead and sew the rest of the dress. These darts create a smooth and curved bodice. Another common type of dart you'll see is the contour or double point dart. You'll see these on the front or back of fitted dresses and jackets which don't have a waistline seam to help clinch the waist. I've also made Butterick 6582 in view B. This dress has 4 darts, each for the front and the back to help shape the waist. The darts have a long diamond shape and have a point at each end. This means to create a smooth look we need to leave the dart open at both ends and not by hand. I'm going to place the pattern on the right side of the fabric and pin all around the darts. I'm using white carbon paper this time and placing it under 2 darts at a time. Now I can go ahead and use a tracing wheel to roll over the dart lines. The marking looks great. I'm then going to go ahead and pin one of the darts. At the sewing machine, pull out a few inches of the thread. Line up the needle with the point of the dart. Push the needle into the fabric with your hand wheel as close as possible to the fold. Sew for a couple of stitches on top of the fold at a low stitch length for a few centimeters. Then change to the normal stitch length and sew along the rest of the dart. Just like the previous dart, lower the stitch length and sew to the dart point when you're near the end. Pull the dart out of the machine and cut to leave a long thread at each end. I'm going to go ahead and sew all the darts and tie the ends. These contour darts are on the waist of the dress, so they need to be ironed towards the centre. Here's what the completed dress looks like. The darts are smooth and contour to my waist without a seam. Thanks for joining me in another sewing technique tutorial video. Today we learned how to make smooth and accurate darts. Try this out on the next garment that you're sewing. It will make it look professionally made. I hope you give these techniques a try, and please like and subscribe if you found this video useful. Thanks for watching!